Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Health Chats podcast. This is your host, Kelsey Grieveson, and I am so grateful that you are here. Thank you, truly. Thank you for listening. I wanted to start a podcast for probably the last 7 years, and I just didn't do it. I kept creating excuses. I was waiting for the right time. I'm an absolutely action-oriented human, but for some reason, this was something that I didn't want to start. I didn't have that courage yet to do it. So now that I'm here, I'm here. And today I want to talk about fitness. I want to talk about my personal journey with fitness, where it started, and I'm going to take you way back and where it is right now. I'm going to talk about my relationship with the gym, some unhealthy relationships I've had with exercise. I'm also going to talk about how I started truly seeing progress and what it is that I changed in order to see progress. So let's go back, rewind back to when I was like 13. I'm going to guess that's how old I was. I was quite young. I was a young buck. And I remember being in my first relationship, my first boyfriend, and he was super into fitness. He was super into the gym. And of course, being young, being a girl, you are, having little crushes on guys, and they say something and they're like, you should go too. And that was what kind of inspired me. It was that, and it was also my brother. My brother was super inspiring for me. If you're listening, thank you. You inspired me in so many ways, and you still do to this day. But yeah, being quite young, I was like 13. I had tried a lot of sports before going kind of full into fitness. I played ringette when I was growing up. I played soccer before that. I tried dancing. I tried other extracurriculars like horseback riding and piano. I was in singing lessons. I did a lot of things. My parents were super open to allowing me to explore and try things. I figure skated, forgot about that one. Um, but none of them really stuck. Like, none of them were things that I was like, yeah, I love this so much. Like, let me devote my whole, childhood and teenage years to one single sport, which I think there's something really powerful in that, in sport specialization. I think it teaches a lot from a young age. But I mean, we all have different paths. So there wasn't a sport for me. Fitness became my sport. From the age of 13, I remember starting to go to the gym, getting my first couple of workouts in with my brother. I remember also being at that age, if I would ever go to the gym alone, I was terrified of the weight room. I was so scared. I was like, I don't want to go anywhere near those weights. It's so intimidating. There's like big, strong men and women in there, and I just can't do that. I can't do that. So anytime I would go alone, I would just go and walk or run on the treadmill, or I would go on the elliptical. I would go on a bike. I would go into the group fitness room and be on a mat and do like abs. And that was it. Like I literally had no rhyme or reason for what I was doing with my fitness. Few years in, I got my first personal trainer in the small town that I grew up in. And I think we had like maybe a handful of sessions together. And I didn't entirely know what she was doing. I had no idea, but I knew she had a plan. She had it written on paper. It seemed legit. I was still so young, like probably 15, 16 at this point. But I specifically remember her asking me what one of my goals was. And it was to do a pull up. I wanted to be able to do a pull up. I was like, I think that would be really cool to be able to do a pull up, to pull my body weight up. So she had me on the assisted pull up machine trying to get a pull up in. And fast forward to now, I can do like maybe a couple pull ups. But as a woman, it is hard. I'm not going to like sit here and be like, yeah, it's super easy. I haven't devoted the time to practice getting my pull ups in. Maybe this podcast is a sign for me to focus more on that because, yeah, it's been a long time. But yeah, I remember her being like, tell me what your goal is. Let's work on it together. I also really specifically remember, and this is something that I would never do with a client, her asking me what I didn't like about myself. And she maybe didn't word it that way, but it's ingrained in my mind now. Her asking what do you not like? Like, what do you want to change about yourself? And I remember grabbing the fat between my armpit and my chest and being like this, being like, I don't like this. And you can't see me, but I just grabbed it again. And she was like, okay, I'll help you with that. And so those two things, that is like the clearest thing in my memory of working with a personal trainer. She was like, okay, what's your goal? And what do you hate about yourself? And I was really confused between the fact that like we were doing pull-ups and I didn't like this fat on my body. I was like, are these pull-ups for that? Or are they for me to be able to do a pull-up? Like I really just had no idea. But we only worked together for, a few sessions. And then like it was expensive back then. It wasn't something that my parents were just like, yeah, we're going to just like continue paying for personal training for you. But it was a good way to get me into the rhythm of it and like find some consistency. So that was when I was younger. After that, honestly, I feel like I haven't looked back. Like I've been consistent in the gym since then. I think I was early on doing 4 to 5 days a week. I would probably do a 4 to 5 day split. That was a program either taken off of the internet somewhere before online coaches existed, or that my brother gave to me because, again, I looked up to my brother and I was like, he knows what he's doing. So I'll just do, what he tells me to do. And for a long time, I didn't follow any sort of program. I would just go into the gym and I would lift things up and I would put them down. And this is where, like, I want to even say it early. If you're not seeing progress and you're, just going in there, you're lifting things up, you're like, oh, I haven't done upper body in a while. I'm going to do a few bicep curls. This is why you're not seeing progress, because you're not actually following a training plan. You are working out. Working out and training is different. They are two completely different things. And if your goal is just to move your body, if it's just to work out, if it's just to go there, 3 days a week and get some movement in, and you're not looking to see any physical progress, there is nothing wrong with that. You can absolutely do that. But you're probably trying to see progress if you're going to the gym. I would like guess that 90+% of people, they probably want to see a change in some way, whether it's mental progress, it's physical progress, or it's both. Like I don't know. I've worked in fitness and in wellness long enough that 90+% of people, when they come to me, they're like, yeah, this is what I would like to see change. This is what I want to work on. So that was me back then, not really following any sort of plan, not really following any sort of program. And I don't even know what age that was, but still quite young. I ended up working in gyms from the age of 16 onward. First job, just being a front desk person at the gym in my small town, and then moving to the city and being a front desk person at a gym here. And then eventually I worked in a sales position for over 5 years. I had had my nutrition background, but I didn't entirely want to dive into just nutrition. I knew I probably just didn't have the courage or confidence to do it at that point. But I also knew that I really liked having conversations with people about why they wanted to change their life. That's where more of the mindset stuff came in. So being in a sales role in a gym, if you know anything about just sales, it can make it sound really slimy because people hear sales and they're like, oh, you're just trying to sell me something. But because what I was selling was something that I was so passionate about, which is fitness and health, it didn't feel like a sales role. Every conversation that I had with a new person, it felt like I was diving into the depths of their why. for their health. I, of course, would always try to really like dig deep and figure out like, okay, why are you really here? Like, why did you walk into a gym today? What made you choose today of all days, random Wednesday, random Saturday, to come in and say, yeah, I want to get started on a health journey? Because a health journey, it's not a small thing. It is a change of lifestyle. And a lot of people, when they don't have those tools, like a coach, like a trainer, like some sort of program, they aren't able to stay consistent with it. And that's just the truth. And that, I guess, is the shitty side of working in gym sales, and like the true kind of like dark side of it is big business gyms, they bank on those people to come in and buy a gym membership, pay for a few personal training sessions, and then never show up again. And then, they just collect their money, but they're not using the gym. So that's why I got out of it. That was a tangent. But I did work in it for a while because I did really like the mindset side of it. And I kind of explain it as people come in to the gym, to the facility. They walk in their own free will, yet they tell me all of the reasons why they shouldn't be there. They tell me all of the reasons why, oh no, I shouldn't get a membership. Oh, no, I shouldn't invest in training. No. And it almost became like, I don't kind of want to call it a game. Kind of was like a game for me because I would try to get down to the subconscious reason why they chose in their own free will to walk into the gym that day, yet their mind is still telling them, no, I can't do this. And you know what it really comes down to? It comes down to trust in yourself that you're actually going to do it. And years of actually coaching now has helped me see that. When I was in the sales role, there wasn't really training in that. I would say the training that helped me get to that has been neuro-linguistic programming and understanding the subconscious mind and psychology and human behavior. And so at that point, I was like, yo, you either like get the gym membership or leave. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you walking in here and like wasting my time? Like, I'm just here to try and help you. So I did that for a while. And in that time, back to like my own personal fitness journey, I didn't really see results myself. Like, still, to be honest, I was working out very consistently Monday through Friday, maybe on Saturday as well. It was just kind of part of my routine. I would go to the gym early, work out, then I would work my shift, and I wasn't seeing results. And I would say two reasons. One, which I've already mentioned, I didn't have a solid training program that I was following. I knew, okay, I want to train legs probably 2 days per week, and I want to train upper body 2 days per week, but I didn't have any specific split, and I didn't have any sort of progressive overload that I was keeping track of to help me actually push myself to create change. Because again, you can go and you can work out, but if you're not training, and progressive overload means that over time, you progressively increase the volume. And volume can mean anything. It can mean the amount of weight, it can mean the amount of sets, it can mean the amount of reps. You can literally, for the next, let's say, 12 weeks, do the same thing, but each week, if you increase something, one of those three things, it could also be decreasing the rest time. That's progressive overload. And I wasn't doing that. So I didn't see results. And on top of it, the second part was my nutrition was terrible. I had a horrible relationship with food, which I've spoken about on other episodes already. So I'm not going to go deep into it here. But that progressive overload didn't exist and the knowledge around it didn't exist. And I wasn't willing to invest in coaching or personal training to help me learn that about myself. So for years and years and years, I spent majority of my time in gyms, in a gym where I would help other people get started on their own health journey. Yet I was really struggling in my own. I had the worst relationship with food. I had a terrible body image. I was so confused because I just was uneducated. I didn't have the knowledge around fitness to know why I wasn't seeing results. I knew that the nutrition piece was one, but I was like, at least can I have some muscle on my body? Like, I'm lifting weights. It feels like I don't even look like I work out. Like, that would be my language when I would look in the mirror. And it wasn't until, I truly believe your environment plays a huge role in it. The gym environment I was in, it wasn't the healthiest. They brought in donuts like every single day. They would order pizza the last week of the month, like the final push of sales. It was always like, okay, we're just gonna like feed these sales reps all of the trash food for whatever reason to give us those hits of dopamine to hopefully make us sell more. So it was not a healthy environment by any means. It did have healthy pizzas, but when it comes to your environment playing a role in the results that you see in your life, that was not the prime one. And so it wasn't until I left that job, which was really hard for me, honestly, because I was there for like 5 years. And I think anytime you leave a career or you make a change in your life at all, it's uncomfortable. You're stepping into something new, something completely unknown. And when you step into the unknown, there's no knowing. This seems like an obvious sentence to say, but there's no knowing what your result is going to be. And inside, I knew I had this deep, deep feeling that working at that place, it was not going to help me expand in the way that I knew I could in my mind. And I also knew it was going to be really hard to expand in the way that I wanted to, or I knew I could. So I left that position and I didn't work. I actually went like full travel mode for a few months. But in that time, that's where I felt like I finally had the clarity and the courage and the confidence to hire a coach. So I hired my first coach, and for the first time, I was given a program that was structured as a progressive overload. I looked at it and I remember being like, why am I doing the same thing? Like, this is so boring. Shouldn't I be like, adding in some random free weight movement things here and cables and like machines and like, this is so boring. And he was like, yeah, it's supposed to be. Consistency is the key to success. And this was a male coach. He was very masculine. He's like, you just got to consistently do the same thing and like lift more each week. And I was like, okay, you know what? I trust you. Like, you've got muscle and I want to look more muscular. So let's do it. And I did it. I continued forth with it. After a few months, I struggled a lot because I realized that relationship with food piece and body image piece, it was so much deeper than, just following a program and changing my body. Like, that was not going to be the way to happiness. And I realized that. And this coach, while he was very knowledgeable in the way of fitness, he wasn't really helpful in the way of, I would say, like human behavior and psychology and relationship with food and body image. And so when I brought this to his attention, he was like, you just need to keep doing it. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to help me. That's not what I need to hear right now. So I stopped working with him, went off solo again. I did a lot of inner work and healing around my relationship with my body and relationship with food. And again, like, it's always, it comes down to that inner work and looking at yourself, like your deeper self, your higher self, and just being so freaking honest. So freaking honest. And I remember looking in the mirror and I was like, if I change my body, am I actually going to be happy? Like, is that the thing that's going to make me quote unquote happier in my life if I go and do that? And I was like, no, probably not. Like, I don't think that's the way. And then I was like, okay. If I make more money, is that going to make me happier? And again, it was like, no, probably not. Like, I've made decent money doing sales and, I wasn't really happy there either. And so it's just a lot of those like big questions that I think we all know we need to ask ourselves, but we avoid through continually exercising, overworking, numbing, scrolling, eating, what have you, whatever it is. And I was just tired of that. I was like, no, I don't want to keep doing this. Like, I want to move my body because it feels good mentally. I want to transform my body because I do want to achieve cool things. And yeah, so it was a lot of conversations like that. I feel like I'm kind of rambling and going on a tangent. But anyways, fast forward a little bit more. I would say my relationship with food now is better than it ever has been. I have healed that in so many ways. There are moments sometimes where it's not perfect because I am human. But my relationship with my body image, I would say it has shifted so much from the pure fact that I'm able to see how I can change my body and how quickly I can change it, let's say, reverse in the other way. I have starved myself to the point where I was super lean. I had like barely any body fat. I was working out 7+ times per week. HIIT exercises, which again, if you're looking for progress, HIIT is not the way. You should not be doing a lot of HIIT. But I've gone to like the extreme of seeing my body in this like super thin, like skin and bone, muscle kind of frame. And then I've gone back, which now I have a very healthy body. I would say it's very healthy. It's decently lean. I can see muscle tone. I've also gone back even further where I've put more fat on and I don't see much muscle tone. And, I'm not super happy with that, but I've seen both. And what I've come to realize, what's helped me with that body image is that impermanence. Nothing is permanent. Your body will continue to change throughout your life. As much as you want to, you can try to hold on to this way or this body or this physique that, you once had. But just through natural human evolution, especially as women, I mean, if you're ever going to have babies, your hormones are going to change. You're probably going to put on weight. I mean, you should if you're pregnant. Getting older, you might gain some weight, you might lose some weight, you'll probably lose some muscle. Like there's so much change, which is again the only constant. It's the only constant. And my body image truly has improved tenfold because I've accepted that. I've accepted that, I can work my butt off and I still will to create a body that I feel good, that I feel confident in. And at the same time, I'm not going to hold on so tightly to that like I used to, because when we hold on and when we expect and we have these, you know, ideas of what we're supposed to look like, we're just setting ourselves up to be let down because, again, we're human. And so this was a lot of information, but the key points that I wanted to get across is your body is ever changing. Your body is ever changing. It is something that you do have the power to change yourself if you want to, if you are willing to put in that effort, again, effort to progressively load it over time with weights. And yes, women listening, you gotta lift heavy ass weights if you want to see change. And no, you're not going to get super jacked if you do that. That's how you put muscle on. Muscle, if you're looking to get toned, having muscle on your body is how you get toned. 2, it takes time. Like a lot of time. I started working out when I was 13 and I'm 27. And I'm just now like, oh yeah, it looks like I work out finally. Probably didn't need to take that long if I would have just like, again, not been stubborn and put my money where things can grow, like into a coach. But yeah, that's the second piece. The third piece is everyone's journey is so different. This is just mine. And I probably left some things out because I don't usually talk this much, especially when I'm alone. But it felt like an important topic to talk about. So everyone's journey is so different. Don't compare where you are on your fitness journey to where I was. Maybe you are a 13-year-old listening to this and you're like, okay, yeah, that's where I'm at. I want to do things like her. Well, do it a different way. Maybe you try to learn things a little bit earlier on if that's what you want to do. But yeah, don't compare where you're at to where I was. This was my own journey. This is where I'm at now. I absolutely feel so confident now as a personal trainer and as a health coach with the information that I've gained and the knowledge that I have and the education. And I also recognize that there's so much more knowledge to gain. And if you're listening and you're like, okay, I want her to help me with my fitness. Like it sounds like, she's got the information that could help me and she could keep me accountable. And I don't really have that internal accountability on my own. I'm here for it. I am taking on clients. You can absolutely reach out to me on Instagram or you can come to my website, ccoaching.ca. But yeah, that wasn't really the point of all of this. The point was hopefully you did gain some information that you can take. And if you have any questions, send me a message. I will finish this here with some final thoughts. Stay curious, protect your peace, and live up to your potential because there's only one life that we know of and you're living it right now. And I hope you make the most of it. I will see you next time. Thanks for listening. Bye.